happened is that I got a call that I might be able to talk to the man who lived with one of the Ebens retrieved from the Roswell region and had been taken to Los Alamos National Lab between 1949 and June 18, 1952, when this being died of unknown causes, is the way the document read that I was shown. And backtracking from that death, this was the story that I was to hear from the man there at the site in Roswell. He was with a group. They had gotten word that there had been a UFO crash. There is not a date on this in terms of July 2nd to 4th, 1947, that we know that there were 3 crashes. This might have happened somewhere later in 48 or 49. And by then, these groups that were in Project Pounce and Moondust that were trained to come to where there was any kind of an interaction with what were being called by our government extraterrestrial biological entities, they were trained to move in a group into a location. There would be some that would pack up the, let's call it the metal wreckage or technology that they found, and there would be others in the group that would be focused on the bodies, alive or dead, of the extraterrestrial biological entities. And where this story starts is that the group was moving in and they could see bodies. And the man who is talking to me said, all of a sudden, in his mind, he felt pain, he heard like a cry, high-pitched. The other men are moving and he stops because he doesn't know, he can't see anything in front of him, but he's feeling this horror inside of his own mind, and he is absolutely paralyzed with what is happening to me? Is this something here? And he couldn't see anything. He didn't at that point say anything to the men around him. He was completely disoriented by what was happening in his head. And not only was he hearing this high pitch, he was seeing images. He said it was like I was getting flashes, like slides of something, he said, and maybe it was like I was looking through a window. Maybe it was dust. Maybe this was the crash. Maybe this is what was happening, and it's being put into my mind. And I started to move, and I walked, and the other men were on, and I realized something is pulling me. It felt like I was being pulled by Jell-O to come and look right at a place. And then he realizes there's debris, there is a dark shadow, and that he walked over to the debris and he picked up something, and here is a live being, not human. And when he picked up the debris, that what came into his mind at that moment, because now it was eye-to-eye contact with this being lying in the debris, was everything. What happened, how the whatever went, the malfunction, what they were seeing as the craft went down, the crash, all of it, and then the overriding pain that this being was feeling. And that's when he told everybody there, come, look at this. This is alive. We need to help. Because he was able to see pictures, get sound, feel emotion, it was decided that his assignment from there on out was he was going to stay with this being. They transferred both to Los Alamos. And for that period of time, as I understand, it was in the year 1949, I believe. From there to June 18, 1952, they lived together. And there were 2 sentences that I was told by this man of the downloads that he got during that period of time. He said it was like being with a child with the mind of 1,000 men. He would have these image exchanges and thought exchanges that for some reason he could get from this being and nobody else could. Our government began realizing that they needed to find translators. They needed to find talented people who could get the images and the numbers and the thought words from these beings. And they started looking for translators. That's the category this man became. But he said at one point, in all of their word exchanges in their minds with seeing pictures and symbols, that this being was explaining about where they came from and the cosmos. And this sentence, or sentences: we made you. We put you here. But you have to live it. And this man looked at me and he said, Linda, you know, what I've come to understand from this being that I lived with and I loved, the machinery of this universe is reincarnation, the recycling of souls. We treat the soul and recycling like mythology. These beings seem to be communicating that the most important part of our life as human beings was the soul and what happened at the moment of death.